Amara Okoye had learned very early that Lagos was not a city where you trusted people easily. Lagos was loud, fast, and unforgiving. Everyone was chasing survival and nobody slowed down for anyone who fell behind. At just 29, Amara already felt older than her age. She worked as a senior finance officer at Adebayo Energy, one of the biggest oil companies in the city. The job sounded impressive, but the reality was different. The long hours, the constant pressure, and the fear of making even one small mistake lived inside her every single day. Her boss, Mr. Balewa, never missed a chance to remind her. Sometimes he would stand behind her chair and say quietly, "There are 100 people outside who can do your job." Those words stayed in her head long after he walked away. But in the middle of all that stress, there was one person who made her feel human again. Saad Bello, her best friend, her safe place. They had met years ago at university in Ibadan when they were both young, broke, and full of dreams. They had shared everything back then: cheap meals, late-night conversations, and promises about their future. Saad had held her when Amara's heart was broken. Amara had supported Saad when she had nothing. They were more than friends, they were family. Even now, Saad was the only person Amara told the truth. The only person who saw her cry. The only person she trusted without question. Amara believed with all her heart that Saad would never hurt her. He had no idea she was wrong. That night, Lagos was unusually quiet. The noise of traffic felt far away as Amara sat on Saada's small apartment balcony overlooking Victoria Island. The city lights stretched endlessly in front of them, glowing like a promise of a better life. A soft breeze moved through the air, but it did nothing to calm the storm inside Amara's chest. She had been quiet for almost an hour, just staring ahead, her fingers wrapped tightly around a cup of tea that had already gone cold. Saad noticed. Saad always noticed. "Amara, what's wrong?" Saad asked softly. That was all it took. Amara's lips started to tremble. Her eyes filled with tears she had been holding back for days. She tried to speak, but her voice broke. Suddenly she couldn't stop it anymore. The tears fell fast and heavy. "I'm scared," Amara whispered. Saad moved closer immediately. "Scared of what?" Amara shook her head, wiping her face, embarrassed by how weak she sounded. "My boss, Mr. Balewa, he's been accusing me of things. Financial inconsistencies, missing money. I don't even understand it. I didn't do anything wrong." Her voice cracked again. "He looks at me like I'm a criminal," she said. "Like I'm already guilty." Saad stayed quiet, listening carefully. Amara continued, her words rushing out now. "This job is everything, Saad. Everything. My mother depends on me. My younger brother's school fees. The rent, the hospital bills. If I lose this job," she paused, her breathing uneven, "I don't know what will happen to my family." Saying it out loud made it more real, more terrifying. For weeks she had carried this fear alone, pretending to be strong, pretending everything was fine. But here with Saad she couldn't pretend. "I feel like my life is falling apart," she said quietly. Saad reached out and held Amara's hand tightly. Her grip was warm and steady. "Look at me," Saad said gently. Amara lifted her eyes. "I will never let anything happen to you," Saad said. Her voice was calm, certain, proactive. "You hear me? Never." Those words wrapped around Amara's broken heart like armor. For the first time in weeks she felt like she could breathe again. Like maybe everything would be okay. She leaned her head on Saada's shoulder, closing her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. They sat there in silence, the city lights flickering in front of them. Amara felt safe. She didn't see the change in Saada's eyes. She didn't see the quiet calculation behind her calm face. Because while Amara was speaking from pain, Saad was listening for details. Every fear, every weakness, every secret, not as a friend, but as someone preparing to use them. 2 weeks later, Amara's phone rang early in the morning while she was getting ready for work. She saw Saada's name on the screen and smiled immediately. Saad rarely called that early unless it was something important. "Amara." Saada's voice sounded breathless. "Excited?" "Yes." "What happened?" Amara asked, her heart already racing. "I got a job." Amara froze. "What?" "I got a job," Saad repeated, almost screaming now. "At Adebayo Energy." Amara's mouth fell open. "Wait, my company?" "Yes." For a second Amara couldn't even speak. Then she screamed too. "Oh my God. Saad." She started laughing, pacing around her small apartment in disbelief. "This is amazing. This is a miracle." Saad laughed on the other end. "I told you. God is working." Amara felt tears fill her eyes. After everything Saad had been through, months of rejection, months of stress, months of pretending to be okay, this felt like a reward. Like things were finally turning around. But Saad wasn't finished. "There's more," she said. "What?" "They put me in finance." Amara's heart skipped. "Pie department?" "Yes," Saad said. "We're going to work together." Amara couldn't believe it. Of all the companies in Lagos, of all the departments, of all the positions, together. "This is perfect," Amara whispered. That entire day Amara felt lighter than she had in months. For the first time she wouldn't be alone in that cold office. She would have someone she trusted. Someone who loved her. When Saad started work the following Monday, Amara was waiting at the entrance for her. Saad looked beautiful and confident in her new office clothes. But there was a nervous smile on her face. "You look like a Lagos big woman now," Amara teased. Saad laughed. "Stop it. I'm still the same person." Amara hugged her tightly. "I'm proud of you." "Thank you," Saad said softly. From that day they started going to work together. They ate lunch together. They whispered jokes during boring meetings. For Amara, the office didn't feel like a battlefield anymore. It felt safe. One afternoon during lunch, Amara looked at Saad and said, "Now we can win together." Saad smiled. "Yes," she said. "Together." Amara believed her. He believed every word. What she didn't know was that Saad hadn't applied by accident. She had been chosen. Carefully. Specifically. Placed exactly where she needed to be. Near Amara. Watching her. Learning her. Replacing her. And while Amara was thanking God for bringing her best friend closer, the plan to destroy her was already in motion. That Monday morning started like any other. Amara woke up early, dressed carefully, and went to work with the same quiet anxiety she carried every day. But something felt off the moment she entered the building. People were looking at her differently. Some looked away quickly when she noticed. Others whispered to each other. Her chest felt tight. When she reached her desk, she saw an email waiting. Subject: Executive meeting. Immediate attendance required. Her stomach dropped. Executive meetings didn't include people like her. Her hands started to shake as she stood up. She looked across the office. Saad was sitting at her desk typing. She looked up and gave Amara a small smile. "Good luck," Saad said softly. Amara nodded, forcing a weak smile back. She didn't know why she needed luck. The executive boardroom was on the top floor. The walk there felt longer than usual. Her heels clicked loudly on the floor, each step making her heart beat faster. When she reached the door, she paused. Then she knocked. "Come in," a cold voice said. She opened the door slowly. The room was freezing. Not just the air. The people. 5 executives sat at the long table, including Mr. Balwa. No one smiled. No one greeted her. "Sit down, Amara," Mr. Balwa said. His voice was calm. Too calm. She sat. Her hands rested on her lap, trembling. Mr. Balwa folded his hands and looked directly at her. "Amara," he said, "we have discovered that $48,000 is missing from company accounts." Her brain froze. "I'm sorry, what?" she whispered. His eyes didn't move. "The money was transferred using your login credentials." Her heart stopped. "No," she said immediately. "That's not possible." One of the executives slid a file across the table. "Login records," he said. Her fingers felt numb as she opened it. Her username. Her password. Her authorization approval. Her name. Over and over. "No," she whispered. Her breathing became uneven. "I didn't do this." She looked up at them desperately. "I swear I didn't." No one spoke. No one defended her. Mr. Balwa leaned back in his chair. "The evidence is clear." Amara felt like the walls were closing in. "This has to be a mistake," she said, her voice breaking. "Someone must have." "Are you saying the system is wrong?" another executive asked coldly. She didn't know what to say. She didn't understand. Her vision blurred with tears. Her chest hurt. She couldn't breathe. He felt like she was drowning and nobody cared. Outside the glass wall she could see the office. She could see Saad. Saad was sitting at her desk, quiet, watching, waiting, pretending everything was normal, pretending to be her best friend. But inside that room Amara's world was collapsing. And somewhere nearby, someone already knew exactly how it happened. That night, Amara didn't remember how she drove to Saada's apartment. Her mind was blank, her body moving on its own. Her hands were still shaking and her eyes were swollen from crying. The words from the boardroom kept repeating in her head. $48,000. Your login. Your authorization. Your name. It didn't make sense. None of it made sense. The only person she wanted to see was Saad. The only person who could make it feel less terrifying. When Saad opened the door, Amara broke immediately. Saad. Her voice collapsed. Tears started falling again. Saad pulled her inside quickly. Amara, what happened? Amara couldn't even sit properly. She dropped onto the couch like her body had no strength left. They think I stole money, she whispered. Saad didn't speak. They showed me everything. Login records. Transfers. My name. Her breathing became uneven. Saad, I didn't do it. You believe me, right? Saad sat beside her. Too quiet. Too still. Amara grabbed her hand tightly. I didn't do it, she repeated, her voice desperate now. Please tell me you believe me. There was a small pause. Then Saad nodded slowly. I believe you, she said softly. But something felt wrong. Amara couldn't explain it. Saad wasn't angry. She wasn't shocked. She wasn't asking questions. He was just calm. Too calm. Amara kept talking, her words spilling out in panic. They're going to fire me. Maybe even arrest me. My life is finished. My family depends on me. I don't know what to do. Her voice broke again. Saad looked at her quietly. Then she said something that made Amara's heart stop. Maybe you weren't as careful as you thought. The words hung in the air. Amara froze. What? She whispered. Saad shrugged slightly. I mean, mistakes happen. Maybe you logged in somewhere and forgot. Maybe someone saw your password. Her tone was casual, almost careless. Amara stared at her. This wasn't the Saad she knew. The Saad she knew would be angry for her. The Saad she knew would defend her. The Saad she knew would say this is impossible. But this Saad sounded different. Cold, distant, almost prepared. A strange feeling crept into Amara's chest. Fear. Not of the company. Not of the accusation. But of the person sitting next to her. She looked into Saada's eyes. The warmth was gone. Replaced by something she had never seen before. Something empty. Something guilty. Amara slowly released her hand. The room suddenly didn't feel safe anymore. Nothing felt safe anymore. I should go, Amara said quietly. Saad didn't stop her. Didn't argue. Didn't insist she stay. She just nodded. Okay. That hurt more than anything. When Amara reached the door, she paused. For a second she hoped Saad would say something. Anything. But she didn't. Amara walked out. Alone. That night, as she lay in her bed staring at the ceiling, one terrifying thought kept growing in her mind. Saad knew something. He was sure of it. She didn't have proof. She didn't have evidence. But deep in her heart, he knew. The person she trusted most in the world was hiding the truth. The days after the accusation felt like a nightmare Amara couldn't wake up from. She stopped going out. She stopped answering most calls. Even eating felt like a chore. Her apartment, which once felt like her safe place, now felt like a prison filled with fear and questions. But one thing inside her refused to give up. She needed the truth. She was going to lose everything. She needed to understand how. One afternoon she opened her laptop and logged into her work email from home. Her fingers moved slowly, nervously. She started reviewing old logs, approval times, transaction records. Anything that could explain what happened. Hours passed. Her eyes burned from staring at the screen. Then suddenly something caught her attention. One transaction. Approval. $48,000. She looked at the date. Her heart skipped. She looked again. It was approved on April 17th. Her breathing stopped. April 17th. That was the day of her cousin's wedding. In Abuja. She remembered it clearly. The music. The dancing. The pictures. She had traveled the day before and stayed there for 2 days. She wasn't even in Lagos. She wasn't even near her laptop. Her hands started shaking. That's impossible, she whispered. She quickly checked her phone gallery. There was photos of her wearing her blue dress. Photos with her family. Time stamped. The exact same day. The exact same time. Tears filled her eyes, but this time they weren't from fear. They were from realization. Someone else had used her laptop. Someone else had logged in as her. Someone else had approved the transaction. Her mind started racing. Who had access to her apartment? Who had access to her laptop? He tried to think. Then suddenly, she froze. Her stomach dropped. That weekend, Saad had stayed in her apartment. Amar remembered it clearly now. Saad had said her electricity was out. She had asked, "Can I stay at your place for 2 nights?" Amara had agreed immediately. Of course she did. He trusted her. She trusted her with everything. Her spare key. her home, her life, her laptop. Amara's breathing became heavy. Her chest felt tight. No, she whispered. But the truth was already forming. Saad knew her password. Saad had seen her type it many times. Saad had been alone in her apartment, alone with her laptop, alone with her identity. Amara felt like she had been punched in the stomach. Her best friend hadn't just watched her suffer. She had caused it. She hadn't just betrayed her. She had planned it, carefully, patiently, cruelly. Amara covered her mouth with her hand as tears rolled down her face. Not just tears of pain, tears of clarity. Everything suddenly made sense. The job, the timing, the calm behavior, the cold eyes. This wasn't an accident. This was a setup. And the person behind it wasn't a stranger. It was the person she loved like a sister. In that moment, something inside Amara changed. The pain was still there, but now it was mixed with something else. Something stronger. The truth. After the shocking realization about the laptop, Amara couldn't sleep for days. Her mind kept replaying everything. The meetings, the accusations, the calm look on Sada's face that night. It didn't make sense. How could someone she loved, someone she trusted completely, do this to her? She started digging deeper. She went through emails, memos, HR records, anything that could give her answers. What she found made her stomach turn. Saad hadn't just applied for a job at Adebayo Energy by chance. Her hiring had been carefully planned. Someone had specifically recommended her for Amara's department. Someone had vouched for her skills and loyalty in ways that made the management feel confident she was the right choice. And then the pieces started to fall together. Saad hadn't joined the company to be with Amara. She had been placed there, positioned, set up. Amara remembered how quickly Saad had learned all the systems, how she knew exactly where files were, how she asked the right questions at the right time. Every friendly gesture, every laugh shared at lunch. It was all part of a plan. The cruelest part? Saad had agreed to it. She had promised loyalty not to Amara but to the boss. She had agreed to help frame her best friend to secure her own position. Every tear Amara had ever cried in front of her, every confession of fear or doubt, every time she let her guard down, Saad had collected it, used it, manipulated it. Amara felt her world collapse. The friendship, the trust, the years of shared dreams and struggles. None of it had been real. It had all been a lie. It wasn't just her job at stake anymore. Amara realized she was losing herself, her identity, everything she had built with hard work, late nights, and dedication. Her dignity, the faith she had in people, in friends, in love. She remembered all the times she had defended Saad to others, all the times she had trusted her with her secrets. And now she understood that trust had been the knife in her back. Anger, hurt, and disbelief swirled inside her. She wanted to scream, to cry, to run away and hide. But deep down, another feeling was stirring: clarity, understanding, knowledge. She finally knew the enemy. She finally saw the betrayal for what it truly was. It was personal. It was deliberate. And it was devastating. Amara sat alone in her apartment that night, staring at the ceiling. For the first time since the accusations, she didn't feel helpless. She felt sharp. She felt awake. The truth had hurt her deeply, but it had also given her power. Saad wasn't just her friend who had failed her. Saad was someone who had tried to destroy her. And now Amara knew she would not be destroyed. She would survive. And when she did, nothing, not lies, not betrayal, not even the person she had loved most, would ever have that power over her again. By the time Amara realized the full extent of Sada's betrayal, something inside her had already changed. She wasn't the same naive, trusting person who had cried on Sada's balcony weeks ago. She was sharper now, wiser, stronger. And most importantly, she had a plan, even if she hadn't known she would need it so soon. Months earlier, Amara had started noticing small inconsistencies at Adebayo Energy. Tiny errors that didn't add up. Missing files. Suspicious approvals. At first she brushed them off. Maybe she was imagining things. Maybe it was normal office chaos. But something in her gut told her otherwise. So quietly, almost obsessively, she began documenting everything. Every email that didn't make sense. Every password access that seemed off. Every meeting where her boss or colleagues said something that felt secretive or unusual. She created folders on her laptop. Backup files. Screenshots. Even recordings of conversations. Discreetly captured on her phone. At the time it was just insurance. A safety net. A way to protect herself if something went wrong. She never imagined she would need it against the person she trusted most. Now, as she pieced together Sada's involvement, those months of preparation felt like a lifeline. Every file she had saved, every recording she had made was proof, evidence. The truth laid out in black and white, her boss's lies, the manipulated accounts, Sada's calculated steps to frame her. It was all there. Amara felt a rush of clarity. The fear that had haunted her for days began to shift. She wasn't powerless. She wasn't helpless. She had all the tools she needed to fight back, to reclaim her life, her job, her dignity. It was strange how quickly fear could turn into focus. The same hands that had trembled with panic were now steady. The same mind that had raced in confusion was now methodical. She started organizing her evidence carefully, thinking about how to present it so that no one could dispute the truth. She imagined walking into that cold boardroom again, but this time on her terms. This time with power. For the first time since the accusations, Amara felt a flicker of hope. Not blind hope, the kind that made her cry on Sada's balcony. This was real, solid, actionable hope. She had a weapon, and it was truth. The betrayal had been brutal and the pain was real. But what Sad didn't know, what no one knew yet, was that Amara had already prepared for survival. And survival in her hands was more than enough. Amara smiled faintly to herself that night. It wasn't a happy smile. It was a sharp, knowing smile. Sad had underestimated her. Everyone had underestimated her. And that, Amara realized, would be their greatest mistake. The day of the final investigation hearing felt heavier than any day Amara had ever experienced. She woke up early, her stomach tight with nerves, but underneath it all, there was a calm she hadn't felt in weeks. Today she wasn't just walking into a boardroom. Today she was walking in with the truth, and nothing could stop it. When she arrived, the room was already buzzing. Executives sat around the long table, papers in front of them, eyes flicking nervously between one another. And then she saw her. Sad. Confident. Calm. Smiling slightly, like she already owned the outcome. Her posture said it all. She thought she had won. Amara's heart didn't race. Her hands didn't shake. She carried herself like a woman who had been preparing for this moment her whole life, because she had. The meeting started and Mr. Balewa began speaking, trying to frame the narrative one last time. He spoke about missing funds, unauthorized approvals, and how the evidence pointed to Amara. Sad nodded, her eyes glinting with anticipation. Then Amara stood up. The room froze. All eyes turned to her. The confident calm in Sada's face flickered ever so slightly. "I have something to show you," Amara said, her voice steady. She opened her laptop and began presenting everything she had documented over the past months. Emails, backups, screenshots, even recordings of conversations that proved both her innocence and Sada's betrayal. She walked them through every transaction, every approval, every login. Step by step she exposed the truth. Her absence during the so-called stolen approvals, the exact time Sad had access to her laptop, the manipulated files, the hidden schemes. The room grew silent. Dead silent. Mr. Balewa's face turned pale, his confident tone faltering. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. Sada's hands started shaking under the table. Her smile disappeared. Her calm vanished. She tried to speak, tried to defend herself, but the evidence was unshakable. Every lie, every act of betrayal, every manipulation was laid bare. Hours felt like minutes as the room processed the truth. By the end of the meeting, the consequences were clear. Sad was not promoted. She wasn't just demoted. She was escorted out in disgrace, her reputation shattered in front of everyone she had tried to impress. And Amara? She stood quietly as the room absorbed it all. No tears. No screams. Just clarity. Every fear, every sleepless night, every moment of betrayal had led her to this. Colleagues who had doubted her looked at her with awe. Some avoided eye contact, ashamed they had ever questioned her. For the first time in weeks, Amara felt free. Free from fear. Free from doubt. Free from the weight of someone else's lies. When she finally walked out of that boardroom, she didn't feel victorious in the way people celebrate a win. She felt untouchable. Stronger. And somewhere in the back of her mind she knew one thing for sure. The person who tried to destroy her had underestimated her completely. The betrayal had been harsh, but the truth, Amara realized, was far more powerful than any lie. A few days after everything had ended, there was a knock at Amara's door. She wasn't expecting anyone. When she opened it, she saw Sad standing there, her face wet with tears, her hands shaking. The confident, calm woman who had betrayed her was gone, replaced by someone desperate and broken. I'm sorry, Amara, Sod stammered, her voice cracking. Please, please forgive me. I didn't mean. I didn't know. Amara looked at her for a long moment. No anger rose. No tears fell. Only clarity. She saw the regret in Sada's eyes, the fear, the shame. And yet nothing she said or did could undo the months of lies, the betrayal, the pain. You didn't break me, Amara said finally, her voice calm and steady. She let it hang in the air for a moment. Then, looking Sod directly in the eyes, she added the words that would stay with her forever. You revealed me. Sod opened her mouth as if to speak, but Amara didn't give her the chance. She stepped back, letting the door close slowly, deliberately. The click of the lock sounded like a promise. Not of revenge. Not of hatred. But of survival. Amara didn't just survive betrayal. She rose from it. She walked taller, breathed easier, and carried herself with a new kind of power. Stronger. Wiser. Untouchable. The world had tried to hurt her and she had turned it into her strength. And as she looked at her reflection in the hallway mirror that evening, she whispered to herself a truth she would never forget. The only reason they could destroy me was because I trusted them enough to hand them the knife. It was over. She was free. And nothing, no lie, no betrayal, no person, could ever take that away.